Hello and welcome to our video on vlookup. Super easy, super useful tool that we're going to cover to help us retrieve data. Vlookup stands for vertical lookup. We can use a vertical lookup when our data is sorted vertically. As you can see here in our scenario data, our data is sorted vertically with different content, employee ID, username, name, etc. For a vlookup to work, the data that we're trying to match has to be in the far left column of our array that we are going to create. It doesn't have to be in the far left column of the Excel sheet. In this scenario, we're going to be searching for the name, the employee name, and returning their address, their hire date, and their starting salary. And so during this process, we will create an array that covers C2 down to D or F10. And since the name is what we're going to be finding is in the far left column of our array, we can use the vlookup command. So let's get into this right away. We have a search sheet here. I've already created a drop-down menu for all of the users listed. Let's just pick Matthew Smith. And what I want to do when I select Matthew Smith is I want it to return Matthew's address, hire date, and starting salary. So to do that, the vlookup command we're going to use equals vlookup, open parentheses, lookup value. This is the value that we're going to start with. In this case, it's not Matthew Smith, it's whatever data is in A2. So we're going to select A2, comma, the table array. The table array is the array in which we're going to find the data we're trying to match and the data we want to return. In this case, that array is over in the employees sheet. It is C2 down to D10. Now we could stop with that array. Since this is not a large data set and we know that very shortly after we're going to try to find the hire date and the starting salary, in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and make my array much larger just so that when I go to move the formulas, it's easier. And so my array here is going to be C2 to F10, comma, column index number. This is the column index number that I wish to return, the data that I wish to return within the array that I created. And so the array that we just created has columns C, D, E, and F, which is a total of 4 columns. We want to return, in this scenario, address, which is our 1, 2, our second column. So we're going to put the number 2, comma, false. And a false is an exact match. And we know we can use the exact match because we're pulling the name of the employee in our search sheet from this list. So we'll do false, close parentheses, press enter, and we can see that Matthew Smith resides at 128 South Main Street. We confirm Matthew Smith, 128 South Main Street. Now, again, because we made our array large enough to include the hire date and starting salary, with a few simple changes, we can move this array, this formula over. But first, I want to make sure that I have my lookup value locked with an absolute cell reference to cell A2, and I want to lock the array so that it doesn't change. Now I can move this array over. We can see that it continues to return 128 South Main for all of them. That's fine. Simply looking at it is because we didn't change the column index number we wish to return. In this column, column C, we want to return the hire date. We come back in hire date. Hire date is 1, 2, 3, our third column in our array. So we jump back to, we put a number 3. The formatting here simply is off. We're going to change this to date, and it returns that Matthew Smith at 128 South Main was hired 8/1/1998. Matthew Smith, 128 South Main, 8/1/1998. Perfect. And then the salary is going to be in the 1, 2, 3, 4th column. And so we simply change our number 2 to a number 4, and we return Matthew's starting salary. Again, this works because the name that we're trying to match, the data that we're trying to match, is in the far left column of our array. It doesn't have to be in the far left column of our data sheet. And that's a quick, simple, easy tool on VLOOKUP.